All right, if I can get everybody's attention, please. My name is Justin Espinosa. I'm the board chair. Today is March 19th of 2019. It's our regularly scheduled board meeting. In attendance, we have a full board, which is awesome to see. And we've got a few things. I'm just going to go through the agenda really quick, and then we'll get started with everything. I would ask that if anyone does speak when called upon by myself or any of the board members, to please state your name and what town you're from. Loud enough so the videotape can hear you. On one little board accomplishment, anyone who would like to go onto the Parsonsfield website under meetings and notes, we've uploaded our first video. Yay!
I support that.
So you'll be able to look at January's meeting on the webpage, and hopefully the rest will soon follow the videotape. So for the agenda tonight, we've got a presentation of certificates of appreciation, review and approval of February 19th meeting minutes, review and approval of March 12th workshop minutes, a site plan review for Mr. Richard, the Watson Woods subdivision application, marijuana ordinance review, other business, which includes a workshop for SOPs and continuation of weekly shoppers guide ads. So, are we in?
got it.
Good.
I
All right.
know exactly what's in there.
So before we get started with board business, let's see. Lisa Hart reached out to me, as well as Judy Saki, and said that well, Judy didn't reach out, but Lisa did, that she won't be in tonight, so I'm gonna deliver these separately. But I just wanted to take a second before we get started with business, for the board, the members of the public that are here. We crafted up some certificates of appreciation for people who have committed service to the planning board and held either positions as board members or secretaries. I think it's an important thing to honor that service with a little bit of thank you that we can, because let's face it, this is a thankless job and you end up making a lot of people angry. And that being said, the caliber of people that volunteer for this board, I think separates them from other people in the community, because they go through so much heartache, extra stress, and all these additional frustrations every month, sometimes a couple times per month, and they do it because they love their community. So William Ryan, if you can please come to the front here.
Stand to be recognized.
We can do this, the old-fashioned attention to orders. I'll just read this here. For having borne an honorable part as a volunteer of the Parsonsfield Maine Planning Board from June 2017 to September 2018. So from me, the rest of the board, thank you for your
Just
service.
waiting for you when you're done with your service.
I can't wait.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, thanks.
And the same thing goes for Lisa and Judy. And like I said, we're going to deliver their plaques separately with a little note from myself on behalf of them. So now that we've got that out, we're going to review the February 19th minutes. Does everyone have those in front of you? Once everyone is done, you give me a look and head on. Yeah, good.
That's March
March 12th, that was the workshop. And then,
Oh, that.
yeah, March 12th. And then February 19th was the meeting.
Mary, are you good with, did you finish the minutes yet? February?
Yeah, okay. I read them all.
Okay, Cliff? Oh, yeah. Any correction, Brennan? All right, cool. So, motion to accept Tuesday, February 19th minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Unanimous vote. Minutes are accepted. Let's move on to the workshop minutes for the meeting on Tuesday, March 12th.
I think I was tired here. I do my homework at home. Yeah.
Swan thing. Was there anybody that hasn't signed in? Okay. Perfect. Thank you, sir. What's that, Sean? I said, sir. Thank you, sir. I don't think anybody can forget his name after his feature film. I love that. That's what that short clip. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great. Thank you. Finish it, sign it.
Sign in?
Yep,
Sit down, I'll bring it to you.
only you.
All right. Good? We're good? Yeah. Good, good? Pleasure? Very good. And Brendan? Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right, so motion to accept the meetings, workshop meetings, minutes, correct? Second. All in favor? All right, the ayes have it. All right. All right, so there should be some past meeting minutes for you. Yeah, now you can review these, but these were transcribed from the videos. And I gotta say, the detail of our meeting minutes since we started videotaping things is phenomenal, so thank you for that. Yeah, so, and I think, I'm not sure if there was some months that were just missing from last year that didn't have signatures for the clerk's office. If you'd like, we can go through and look at the other minutes following month
This is the
and
last.
see like who voted on it. That's correct. We don't have to do this now.
Okay, yeah.
So, sign-in's taken care of. Again, for anybody that came in late, please, if you are called upon, please state your name and the place that you're from, the town that you're from, loud enough so the camera can hear it. Our first agenda item after the minutes is site plan review for Stephen Richard, 4 Miller Avenue, map R7, lot 19. So we conducted the workshop on March 12th to discuss some issues. I think, Marion, did you want to, you had an email that you wanted the board to look at. Did you want to go through that?
Yes. Maybe we should have, I don't have copies for everybody.
Okay.
You know, we make like 3. No, that's not. Oh, yeah. Where's mine? Monday, after talking to a few other, planning board people from other towns, I contacted the MMA by email and stated that I'm looking for interpretation of the shoreland 8C3 lowercase d contiguous lots / vacant or partially built. I said, we have a camp on non-conforming lot with non-conforming camp structure. They also own a lot across private way with their leach field on it. Does this say they need to use back lot to conform to regs? So there were a back and forth just that asking me if this was needed to be answered immediately. And then I heard back from Legal Services Department, and it was Brianna Gerson, staff attorney, and she quoted Article 2, Section 8C3D of the town's land use ordinance provides the rules for when non-conforming vacant or partially built lots will be merged and considered as one lot for the purposes of development. In order for lots to merge under this section, the 2 lots must be contiguous and in the same ownership. If 2 lots are divided by a private right-of-way, then whether the lots are contiguous may depend on whether the owner of the 2 lots owns the property under the right-of-way, or whether someone else owns this property. If a landowner owns lots on both sides of a private right-of-way and owns the property under the private right-of-way in fee, then there is a good argument that the lots in the same ownership are contiguous and will be merged under this provision. The fact that other landowners have an easement to use the right-of-way probably will not affect this determination. However, if the private right-of-way is owned by someone else and the 2 lots do not share any common boundary, then it is possible that the lots will not be merged under this section.
Okay.
So the question is, you
So-
guys own it right away.
So, right here in the paperwork that they submitted shows that they do own the right-of-way. They do own both sides of the road, yes?
That doesn't mean right, they own it right away.
So,
It's a private road, that means they own the road.
Well, you show right here in
Well, so-
this includes the road. And right here it says, we own lots 19 and 38, which includes the road with a right-of-way for others.
So, two things. First, before we go further into this. So, number one, now, the article states when it begins, provides rules for when non-conforming vacant or partially built lots will be merged and considered as one lot for purposes of development. Now, we're not talking about a partially built or a vacant lot. We are talking about a non-conforming lot with a structure on it.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure.
Yes, I said that it had a camp on it.
Right, but I'm reading through the article that
Right.
she mentioned. So I just want to make sure that this actually applies. Well, I want to discuss if this actually applies because the article in here says non-conforming vacant or partially built lots. I don't believe that that's what we're dealing with because we have an existing structure on there and we're talking about.
Depends on where the comment is. Is there a comment after non-conforming?
So I'm open to discussion on this, and then I think it's important to read the next paragraph that she replied.
Right, that she didn't have the answers about who owns the right of way. I'll read that.
Okay.
I do not think that I have enough information based on what you've provided to make a determination on whether the lots are merged under the town's ordinance. For example, it is not clear to me what I meant by back lot. I shouldn't have changed my terminology from what I said in the first bit, so that she wanted to make sure that I wasn't talking about another lot. So, since both of the lots you described seem to be located on a private right-of-way, well, let me start again. For example, it is not clear to me what you mean by back lots, since both of the lots you described seem to be located on a private right-of-way. If you would like to discuss this further, it would be helpful if you could describe the lots in much greater detail and provide a picture of the disposition of the lots. And I was going to leave that up to you to do. Because I did say to her, it says right, a non-conforming lot with a non-conforming camp structure,
It says that in which one?
in my original emails.
Right. No, and I understand. I'm concerned that what she quoted back to us as the regulation doesn't specifically say having a building there. You know, it says a vacant, or partially built lot, or partially built structure on that lot. You know, and that's.
Well, that's not how she, you know,
I'm just, I guess I'm asking us as a board to look at what this says and then discuss.
I think you should go back to the MMA and ask them, and we put this to bed,
Okay.
because I didn't think I was wrong at the workshop, and I don't believe I'm wrong now.
Okay.
So what are you saying, that they have to merge the lots, is what you're
Yes.
saying? It's,
Yes.
but I don't see any language in here that says they have to. I
Well,
mean,
they
it's-
can leave the camp as it is.
Right.
I missed it, so I'm asking out of ignorance. What's the need to merge the lots? Bring them into conformance?
Yes,
In what way are they not conforming?
in many ways.
So even if the lots are merged, the residential house will still be non-conforming.
But I think what Marion's saying is she wants to see the house moved off of the small lot onto
Yeah.
the back lot.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I think
you
that's
have,
what-
you have to
Okay.
be more conforming. You have
Right.
to make the back lot join the front lot to the point of conformance.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I was understanding that you were talking about this with the application as it stood and just in respect to the lots joining those two. Now what you're saying is you think the applicant should join both lots and then move their existing building
Yeah,
back to where it's conforming. Okay.
I don't see where we have the teeth to force them to do that, though. I mean, is that, you're saying here that, I mean, I don't know, like JP said, it says non-conforming vacant or partially built lots. Is that what we're dealing with?
Well, I told her,
I mean, is it partially?
I quoted,
I mean, but you can be
I-
clear as you can towards her.
quoted Shoreland 8C3D,
Right,
which is exactly what we're talking about. And I told her we had a non-conforming lot with a non-conforming camp structure, and they also had another lot across the private way with their leach field on it.
right. And I'm not saying that you did not tell her exactly, specifically what the
mean,
situation was, but her
it's right
reply
there.
to me, I
It's there
understand.
in writing.
But you can say something clear as day to somebody else, but the response back
Well,
might be
then-
muddled. And I don't know, like, if you can explain to me how this specific house, this would be helpful, how this specific house applies to the response within the structure, then like,
I've never dealt with it before.
okay,
That's why I went to MMA.
right, okay,
But it's in the shoreland.
yeah,
It's under non-conforming lots.
yeah,
Contiguous lots are two lots that,
right. No, and my initial recommendation from the workshop was the possibility of them merging these two lots, but I couldn't find it in the ordinance where we have to make this a condition of approval, or where we even could, and so I guess my concern, I'm gonna put it to board members. So we'll
combined
go-
to the extent necessary to meet the dimensional requirements.
I think we need clarification. Miller Ave is a private road?
Yes.
Yes. Who owns the land that that road exists on?
A lot of different, it's a lot of different, whoever, you mean, like where we are?
Well,
Or
I mean, the
whole
road comes in from the road between the ponds, correct?
Right.
Yes,
So-
we cross over George Bang's lot
Okay.
to,
So is there like an association that kind of
No?
owns that? Like, so some landowner has to own that private road?
Or is there an easement on the deed
Do all the butters,
for access?
do all butters have ownership of the road?
No, it's so grandfathered, I think it was one of these things where it's a right of way, whoever's land crossed, it's been used as a right of way for everybody to get to their camps. I mean, I know
we've taken it upon ourselves to maintain the
maintain the
road,
road, we have all
keep it clear.
stuff like that when it gets soft, but at least our portion, not up by the main road, but.
Well, George Banks takes care of his
Yeah.
portion, we take care of the rest of the road, servicing the weeds and everyone else on Miller Ave.
It says right here, I'm sorry, Article 2, Section 3, non-conforming lots, contiguous lots vacant or partially built. If two or more contiguous lots or parcels are in single or joint ownership of record at the time, which is you guys, of or since adoption or amendment of this ordinance, if any of these lots do not individually meet the dimensional requirements of this ordinance or subsequent amendments, and if one of the more of the lots are vacant, which is you guys, or contain no principal structure, the lot shall be combined to the extent necessary to meet the dimensional requirements.
Right. But then there is what is a contiguous lot?
You're concerned with the right-of-way?
Yeah, I mean,
She
you
describes it.
got a road in between two lots.
She describes it in the email,
To me,
what a contiguous lot is,
Okay.
right in that first paragraph.
Nice, nice. So, land use ordinance provides the rules when non-conforming vacant or partially built lots will be merged and considered as one of the purposes, for one of the purposes of development. In order for lots to merge under this section, the two lots must be contiguous and in the same ownership. If lots are divided by a right-of-way, private right-of-way, then whether the lots are contiguous may depend. Continuous, thank you. May-
Contiguous.
Contiguous.
You're talking to the reading spelling teacher.
I should have you read this.
I just did.
I know. may depend on whether the owner of the lots owns the property under the right-of-way or whether someone else owns this property. So that's
That's basically the deciding question.
So, Andy, are you saying in what you found, it doesn't matter if it's a vacant or partially built structure?
It says one lot can be vacant and the other can have a structure on it.
Okay. Can you read it again?
If
Sorry.
two or more contiguous lots or parcels are in single or joint ownership of record at the time, where am I? Is it this one?
D.
If two or more contiguous lots or parcels are in single or joint ownership of record at the time of or since adoption or amendment of this ordinance, any of these lots do not individually meet the dimensional requirements of this ordinance or subsequent amendments, and if one or more lots are vacant or contain no principal structure, the lot shall be combined to the extent, and that's one of them, but I think it was this one, B. The non-conform, and if a principal use of structure exists on each lot,
No, it's D. I went
The-
over it.
that's the one you use, but there's,
Yes.
yeah,
But you'll see that,
but,
But the header of D is contiguous lots, vacant or partially.
but this one is
built.
contiguous built lots, I see, so we don't have one.
So if B says contiguous, thank you, built lots, and D says contiguous,
Lots,
vacant or partially built lots, my inclination is that we go off of B's format, right? Or no?
I mean, if, yeah, I think that B,
Is what applies to them.
no, because it says, oh, I'm sorry, but it says if a principal use or structure exists on each lot.
Each lot.
One suggests structure on each lot, the other suggests two vacant lots.
Okay.
So we don't see
So
it.
we don't have to go either.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing this.
We got an E? I don't have my manual in front of me. Let me grab one.
no.
Do you need a new copy of the updated one?
That's the newest one.
Yeah.
Unless
We've got
the
a,
pages all match.
yeah,
No,
hopefully.
no. You're looking for page 50, JP. Don't go to the index, go to page
The
50.
distance between.
I knew I was gonna blow this right out of the water.
That's an existing non-conformance, right? And they can't build onto it.
Because it's within 25 feet of the shoreline, which can't happen.
All right.
The provision shall not apply to two or more contiguous lots, at least
I-
one of which is non-conforming.
This is partially what we were discussing like during the workshop, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so so we're not going with A, right? Because it's just a non-conforming lot. Well, I guess unless we're picking and choosing out of each of these to like.
Well, I don't understand how changing the lot size is gonna change, if the
It's not
non-conforming.
changing lot size, it's changing the building. So the
Oh,
lot's
move-
staying the same, it's only gonna be pushed back 26 to 26 feet rather than 25, which still makes it non-conforming. So there's no way in the current to make this house fit on this lot.
But because it's pre-existing, it's non-conforming, they have the right to redo the house and add up to 30%,
Right, which is what.
or just expand 30%.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what they're
That's
before
what
the
they're
board for.
suggesting, yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
I guess the debate is whether the applicant should be forced to join two lots and then move their existing building, if they want to rebuild it, to the back lot. Or if we don't believe that this portion applies specifically to this, we can vote on the application with conditions. And the conditions were what we had discussed during the workshop. Condition of an easement for the deed of the leach field on the back lot. Another option was joining the lots that they would consider, and then there was another one that they would have a self-sustaining septic system on one lot.
Disconnecting the leach field.
Right. And I was reading through some past, one second. I was reading through some past MMA material that you guys will go through tomorrow. And the recommendation from the MMA is to not modify leach fields, like septic systems with leach fields, to self-sustaining ones, if at all possible, because it becomes a liability, especially when people aren't, it's not a primary residence, because there's dangers to that. So I mean, like, my recommendation would be going with the easement or joining the two lots. Now, you want to say something?
I'm just gonna say, I'm Deborah Sopchak and John from Kingston, we're the owners. We started the process of the easement, got paperwork we contacted the lawyer that we actually originally bought that second piece of land in 2000. Well, the lawyer's office, they changed hands.
Well, their main,
Well, they had
an attorney
the main
here in
attorney.
Maine.
They had the file still on file, our file number as to buying the purchasing one. So I asked the question, how do I go about and so on. So I have the letter. We started the process, and I made copies of the letter.
If you want.
I can pass you the letter out. We started the process of putting an easement for our leach field.
Okay.
I have the letters if you would like that.
I maybe just here in a minute.
Yep, that's fine.
The other thing, I guess, should discuss, and then we're gonna go to the board as far as discussion. I've got letters here, add letters here.
Of the butters?
Thank you. Yeah, from abutters. I'll read through these really quick. To whom it may concern, John and Deb have shared their ideas with us in regards to building changes at 4 Miller Avenue. No problems at all with the improvements being made, no objection to the building permit being granted. This is from Bob and Peggy Leveni, 36 Loon Point. The next one is from, this is to Jesse Winters. Yeah. We were writing in response to the letter sent to us 20th February in regards to the application to rebuild the above property, which falls within 500 feet of our property. It gives us the map and lots. Please know that we fully support the Sobacheks.
Yep.
Sobchaks? All right. Plan to rebuild their property and have no objections. Unfortunately, we live overseas in Bermuda and will be unable to attend the meeting on March 19th, but we wish to submit our support in writing for the record. Sounds like a nice place to be right now. Should you require any additional information, please feel free to contact us. The next one is from Dennis Spinney. Dear Planning Board, I'm writing to confirm the fact that I've received your letter in regards to John and Debbie redoing their camp on West Pond. We have absolutely no problem with their plan and wish them the best. And I got two more. Good morning to the Planning Board. We are Paula and Dana Oates and are the closest neighbors to Deb and John on West Pond. We did receive the abutters letter and are including our support in their building improvement project. Thank you. And then finally, dear Planning Board members, we are in favor of Deb and John at 4 Miller Avenue. Parsons Field request for approval to tear their falling apart camp down so they could rebuild the safe house. We doubt they would ruin the West Pond property with a new one. Please allow them continuing their joy at their home on West Pond for more years. Please vote in favor of this situation. Thank you in advance, Jim and Sue Peterson.
That's a letter of support right there.
I was just going to add, I did, as you can see, you probably should be able to see on the email, I did send it to every one of our abutters. So there's only a couple that I think one is traveling and a couple that we didn't hear.
We just printed out the responses, so. I appreciate you guys both reaching out to your abutters, and of course I appreciate your neighbors' support, because as a community, I think that's a huge thing. Now let's get back to the issue at hand. the applicability of section 8C3D on this. So I'm open to recommendations, or I have a proposal. We can take a vote as a board if this specific article is applicable to this this application. And then deciding on the results from that board, we can either discuss what we're going to go from there, or if the article is deemed not applicable, we can discuss any conditions of approval for a vote for the application. Does that sound fair to everyone? Okay. So
I think I should recluse myself because I wasn't at the
workshop?
workshop. So I mean, I just read it briefly here,
Mhm.
but somebody who was there might have a better sense of how to vote.
I think Cliff was there, weren't you? Cliff was at the workshop.
That's completely up to you, Andy.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I one recusal. So the, I guess, motion to vote on the applicability of this article, Article 2, Section 8C3D of the town's land use ordinance towards this application. All those that feel, I need a second. Second from Cliff. All right, so all those in favor that this is applicable to the application at hand, you'll say aye when polled. And all those that feel that it's not applicable will say nay, okay? So for the vote, whether this is applicable, can I please have the yeas? That it is, what?
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
2. And those that feel that it's not applicable, nay?
Nay, it's not clear enough to me to
Nay.
be applicable.
And then, are you voting?
I'm
You're
not
accusing
voting,
yourself.
am I?
Oh, you
I'm not.
accused yourself
Well,
as well.
I'm also, I mean, you got your point.
Oh, you're an alternate member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cliff, you got your point.
Yeah.
You got a good point.
Yeah, you're good. And he was there, I wasn't, so.
Okay, so the board has voted by majority that this article is not applicable to this application. So we'll go forward with the application that it stands as is. Now, okay.
So guess what? You're voting on the next
Yeah,
one.
she finished up with her resignation.
Or somebody is.
So
You're it, buddy.
we're gonna take a 5-minute break, really quick. If I'm gonna have you guys back in here, we'll continue at 7:50, and we'll make this quick. All right, we're gonna get started here. So this is my left right property. This is my house. It's got a rock wall. Is that what that was? Sweet. Across the street. This is about 10 acres. So they've got a bunch of this area here. This area here. Trees here, these trees here. So I did that, and then on my right side. How's that right there? There's no motor. We can fight trade over it. So we can make up for the small.
And we're in a great way.
They ended up for my rock out here. I'm not 100%. Right. Yeah, I know his, well, I'm trying to think how far back that line he's got. So it's not much further than my house. It's between my house and one of
Because I know where the house is back.
his house or mine?
His house.
Yeah. Let me, yeah, I'll give it to you after. All right, so when we get this started again, you have the application. All right. So because we have 4 voting members, full-time voting members, we can appoint one of the alternate members to vote. How do you guys feel?
On what now? On the,
So we're still dealing with
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you might as well have, keep Andy. Or Cliff. Well, I know, but you still need the five of you.
Yeah.
But Andy might as well stay, because I wasn't there either, so. Like, since he's a full-time member, just have him.
I'm talking about filling Marion's spot.
Yeah, but what he's saying is Cliff was gonna fill Andy's spot since Andy
Oh, yeah,
recused
oh,
himself.
you're
yeah.
recusing yourself from this vote as well.
So we gotta
I don't know
pick.
about this vote, depends on whether I understand it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, there's no point, I think at this point, for anything on this, you should stay on, because I wasn't here either, so.
Right.
I mean, I have what I've read independently, but I wasn't part of the discussion either, so it's, you're not, you gotta have a quorum, so just might as well have the best, the best you can.
But I'm not asking him to recuse himself. I was under the impression that he was not, and that we would have an even number of voters, so I was gonna fill Marion's spot over the alternate positions. But let's wait to see if you recuse yourself or not for the vote after this, and then we'll get to that.
Well, we have
Okay?
to state,
Oh, yeah.
state before.
Oh, yeah, we should say it before.
That, you know,
Yeah.
one of the alternates is gonna be the.
I- Okay, as chair, I think we're gonna roll with what we got. If we end up with the time, then we're gonna come back. Okay? So, I appreciate you guys' patience tonight. I understand there's been a little bit back and forth. Have you had a chance to look at their application, Andy?
Yeah,
Okay.
They part of the meeting on.
Right, okay. So, the things that we review for a site plan review on this, generally, when available or when we don't have sufficient data, we request an on-site review where the board will come out and take a walk of the property. I'm comfortable with the pictures and the structures as we have them, and foregoing the site walk, especially since there's still snow on the ground. Our ordinance says that up until the end of the month of March.
actually, that's a subdivision ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's a
right.
subdivision ordinance.
So that's the last time. I got you.
Good.
So we could schedule a site walk
We could, yeah.
if we felt we needed one.
Right. You guys want to, well, I guess we should discuss what the application's going to be first. Okay. So, does anyone need some additional time or questions as to whether the application is complete or not? I'm sorry. Okay. So, we can vote. If the application's complete. All right. I motion to vote, accept a complete application from them. Got it. We'll do Rick as a second, and all those in favor? Aye. Unanimous, so that your application is complete for the board. Now, do any board members have any questions of the applicant in regards to their application or anything? Yes.
We were sort of shocked last time. I don't know if you picked up our feeling that we didn't even realize that you were gonna tear down your place. Did you get that? Yeah, did you get that feeling like we didn't know what was happening? And according to our ordinances, non-conforming structure, non-conforming lot size, when you do have access to greater land or finer lots, you do expect a rebuild to be pulled back. So my question to you is that state regulations and town regulations don't have to line up. Usually town regulations can be even more stringent. In our case, I think our regulations are a little more stringent, especially when it comes to shoreline. So with that said, we've gone out on the limb to let you put a new house on the exact spot, still in conformity, and even add on 30%. So what do you feel you can do for the town in exchange for us doing a little extra for you? Is there anything you can offer the
I don't know
town?
what that means.
Well, what that sort of means is that you're sitting on another lot still, 2-point-something acres, it's number 30. And can you give us any guarantees, or could you put some of that land in conservation land and then redevelop?
Well, we don't.
So what we're basically saying is, okay, you've got this other lot, and your house isn't gonna be anywhere near it. I mean, you're gonna still be on an unconforming lot. But the 2-acre lot, we'd like some protection. We don't wanna see more houses squeezed in there.
That's why we bought it in the first place.
Well, yeah, but we would like to have it a little more finalized then.
So,
I agree with that. This is.
No,
a
Joe,
little
I'm just asking about,
Sure.
what can you do for us? We have gone out on an interview that, and,
So, I'm gonna cut in here, 2 things. So, I did talk with Jesse today, and he was made aware that the property was gonna be completely rebuilt, it wasn't just an expansion. So, that was, I don't know if that was miscommunication between Jesse and the board, or if that was something that I just didn't catch in reviewing the initial application. When I look back through it, their initial application was and is to take their structure and rebuild it. I think what Cliff is trying to get at, and I might be paraphrasing here, is just the continued preservation of our community, especially the lake. Not asking you for assurances that lot won't be built, any property out there, but that you are stewards of a beautiful piece of property. And I expect, and you've said so yourself, that you guys will maintain this and keep that going in the future. Yes, sir. Oh, I thought.
Yeah, when you're done.
Okay.
I'd like to go next.
Yeah, I'm with Nate. I don't think that we can ask an applicant a requirement to put something in the easement, and we can, I guess we could always request it of them, but I don't think we can make it a requirement. And we're talking about 2 acres, which would be a very hard sell for a conservation easement on such a small piece of property. I guess, so one of the things that we discussed to make sure that we protect the but like the protection of each lot was putting the easement on there for the septic system. I think that protects that lot in the future for me, and I'm sure we'll discuss it more as a board. Yeah, and the fact that every one of your neighbors has written the board speaks highly favorable of you guys. It's my recommendation that if we do accept this application upon a vote, we do it under 2 conditions. Number 1, the condition that they've already began is accepting the easement. And number 2, one of the concerns that was brought up at the workshop, I did a little bit more homework on it, and this isn't a killer one for you guys, if I can find it. When you do a seasonal conversion, basically taking a seasonal home and converting it to a full-time home, one of the laws under Title 30, MRSA 4215, subsection 2, requires a permit from a local plumbing inspector before a seasonal dwelling can be converted to a year-round dwelling. Now, I'm sure that tearing down a home and rebuilding a home, that you guys are going to pull the proper plumbing permits, but I think as a condition for us, it would just be that you require the correct seasonal conversion permitting. So we're assured that
just when you say correct seasonal, I mean, obviously you would do
the
everything.
plumber will know what permit it is. It's not
Okay.
Do you know?
Yep, so if you have a seasonal structure, and you're looking to convert it to a permanent, then, yeah, it has to abide by all the plumbing laws, of course, because then it's a full-time gig at that point.
Right.
In this situation, this is a seasonal dwelling. It is a private road, and it's a joint they maintain it jointly. So it's not, there's not an application to convert it. It's seasonal.
If I can just add, this year round, like when my husband said that we were, gonna put some heat in, with heat pumps or whatever, mainly when we get there to open up, like, usually we open up like Memorial Day weekend. We're hoping, and it's cold, we're hoping to be able to, when the snow is gone, maybe open up a little earlier than that and have the heat so that we can maybe go up on the weekends in the fall and enjoy the foliage. As far as year-round winter, the only thing that we would be doing up there in the winter, believe me, would be walking in snowshoes and maybe staying overnight so they can go skiing for a weekend. But we live in Kingston, New Hampshire, and we're not planning on selling our house and moving to our camp. Like I said last week, it's too far from hospitals, it's, too far from my children and my family, and we're not planning on being there year-round, but we will do every permit that we need as far as plumbing, electricity, regardless.
To your argument, we're using a licensed plumber to plumb this structure as if it was a normal home. So, yeah.
That's all we're
That's-
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So, any other questions of the applicant?
To vote.
All right. So, motion to, motion to accept an application? Approve an application?
With the condition.
With the following conditions. An easement. An easement be placed on the, is it contiguous?
Or contiguous. You're gonna get that down.
Yeah. With the other parcel of property that you own, to fully capture the easement of leach field. And,
Well, wasn't there in case the property was sold in the future, that the small lot could still have access to the leach field? Wasn't
that's
that?
the easement,
Okay,
yeah, we're discussing. Yeah, and do you want to include this seasonal conversion thing? They're tearing down a house and rebuilding it complete with a plumber, see what's gonna be charged.
Right.
That's in my house anyway.
What's that?
That's gonna be right by the house anyway.
Right.
Internal plumbing, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
So, with just one condition, right?
All right, so, voting for approval? That's my motion, I guess.
I second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, got 3 out of 4. That's a majority. You have an approved application.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You will receive a letter from us that the application has been approved, and then please work with Jesse going forward for the CEO portion.
That need to be recorded,
Which portion?
that letter of approval, the registry.
Oh, the registry of deeds for the planning board approval?
Just the record.
Yeah, we'll have it on file. If you guys would like us to send it to the registry of deeds, I'll talk with the clerk, see if they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm asking, that's all.
Yeah.
This is generally a requirement, so.
And you need the letters showing that we've started the process, or you can just wait till it's all done.
Yeah, just wait till it's all done, and then you'll work with Jesse to provide it to him. Okay,
We'll follow up with those conditions with Jesse.
correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I haven't seen it since I was 10, so.
All right. All right, guys, we're gonna keep moving along. The next item, agenda, have a good night. Watson Woods subdivision application, map R8, lot 37. Now, do we have the letter from Mr. Laurie? Yes, right here. So there's two things that were submitted. There was a letter from Ms. Lane that I thought we discussed whether to view as a board or not. And then the conditions that the lawyer drafted up. So, but what were you asking?
I don't know, I thought maybe are we looking at a map of houses or anything tonight, or what, conditions? I mean, are we pulling out old plans?
No, we're just looking at the preliminary stuff that we started to discuss with our lawyer, which I don't believe is set in stone either.
So I am a little confused of where we are right now. We are entertaining the preliminary plan for major subdivision, right?
Correct.
That was submitted some time ago, there was delays and extensions, and now we've hit this point to pretty much entertain it with these conditions, but what are we entertaining? The 8-house development that was proposed months ago? That's it, okay, so we had the old applications that we're gonna pull out and go.
So it'd be taking that and then applying it.
Okay, so there was no modifications to the development, you didn't come back with maybe reduction in houses or anything?
Driveways?
The driveways were never set.
Hold on, one at a time, guys. All right, so Andy, so Rick, did you have a question for?
No, I was just trying to clarify where we were and what we're looking at.
Andy, you had a question
Am I
for?
correct that you guys are gonna respond to these conditions tonight?
Well, when we come back, if you were to grant preliminary, when we
You
come back to
would respond at
final,
that
we
point?
respond
I
at
see,
that.
okay. So basically what we're doing is we're voting on whether these conditions are stated where we want them, is that right? And
So-
whether to approve the.
If we're stable with these
Right,
conditions.
if we as a board are comfortable with the conditions, then we are voting tonight for an approval of preliminary plan. Or deny.
Correct.
And so these conditions that have been set forth, like by the board and typed out from Mr. Laurie during the past 2 to 3 meetings, this is the finalized version that we're going to be voting on tonight.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't see anything that references the site distances or any of that. Does any of that change? Or you still have 8 houses with the same site distances that they were months ago?
Are you talking about you don't see that in the conditions?
No, and anything new, I don't see anything, I mean, the conditions are here, but I thought they were gonna modify, like, one of the main objections was the site distance didn't meet the town site distance, and they were gonna modify that. That was my interpretation anyway, I could be wrong, there's no modification offered up.
Now, my understanding was that these are conditions that, if you approve,
Right,
that when we come back to final, we have to meet, and so.
So you're asking for approval on the same application, well, I know I objected to the fact that 3 site distances didn't meet. Do they still not meet?
Right, they haven't modified.
We haven't modified it. We
So they
are-
still don't
We have
meet?
started drafting.
This is only preliminary, we can change those conditions right now, so basically we should go around, are you okay with the conditions as they stand? And if you say no, I would like to see this change.
And then go around again.
Okay,
And
all
then
right.
they can approve.
Let's
Then
go.
come back with the modification.
You guys
Then we
lead,
vote.
and let me see if I can follow. All right, let's go.
Okay, all right. So the first thing that we're gonna do as a board is we're gonna go over these preliminary subdivision approval with conditions. And these, again, are the things that the board has constructed together through the last few meetings to Mr. Laurie, our town lawyer, who's crafted it into both legal speak and what conditions would be there. Yes.
I believe that we should bring it into this before we state whether we accept these preliminaries or not. Any other findings that have come to our board first, make them public, and then we can go around.
Okay. So, all right, so 2 things on that. Number 1, the public hearing is the traditional time for us to accept both comments and documents from the public. Now, in saying that, if things have come to light and the board feels that they may be relevant, we can vote as a board to open that up for discussion and provide the applicant with that same information. Now, I think that this has happened almost every time that we've met on this issue. It has, and I just don't want to keep chasing rabbit holes or keep going down rabbit holes of different information, because I think that this has been delaying a process that we need to vote as a board with the information that we have in front of us. There has been questions raised continuously throughout this application, and we as a board have not only viewed these, but we've asked for clarification in these. And that's the right thing to do. But at some point, we need to take votes on the information that we have. So the only thing that we've had in reference to this application was an email from Ms. Lane, and I guess we could, as a board, vote whether to discuss that email, or we could vote to continue with the application process.
Can I ask if everybody's had a chance to read it? I'm just not without discussing it. Get a sense if everybody's read it or not.
I can read it.
Let's just take the vote. Yeah. See if you want to have a discussion of it or not. I mean, you took the time to send it to us, and not everybody here may even be aware of what's in that. Sure, the public is here.
We take the vote.
Just for clarification,
Yes.
we didn't just take the time to send it to you, we took the time to hire a professional soil scientist to review the application. I sent him applications 3 and 4, because application 4 is not complete.
Okay, so
It's professional.
listen, before we go further into this, my reservation towards this was in the email that was forwarded. One of the lines from the consultant says that they don't have enough information to make a conclusive decision either way. Now, if someone as a consultant is saying that, I don't see why we as a board should be weighing that towards anything.
Can I just suggest this?
Yes.
Do we have a responsibility to the applicant to let him know what is allegedly missing? Because in my opinion, as far as I can see, my limited expertise has already been supplied.
Right. Well, I guess we do if we're going to entertain this.
Either way.
Yeah. So we got an email, and I don't know if you guys were put on it or not. I guess not. That a independent consultant, soil survey consultant, was hired, and the member of the public would like the board to entertain that towards this application now.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
The whole purpose of the public hearing was to get that type of information in. If there is a legitimate concern about the soils test, you're just approving the concept at preliminary. We have to come back to final if someone would make that information available to us, obviously Tom Greer and Mark Hampton would review that information and possibly even reach out to that consultant. That's how the normal process happens. To present something at the night that you're supposed to vote that we haven't seen when the public hearing was closed back in October just is wrong. You can consider that.
I believe in our conditions, we've already covered this. We already planned to hire independent consultant services to go through.
So when do we do that? How do we
Yeah,
actually do that?
If
After they
the
come back?
applicant gives us a final plan.
Then we actually go and seek out another consultant.
That is what number 6 is for our conditions.
Right.
So at that
So what do we
time,
do
that would come
with,
from that
they've got a consultant out there, what do we do about that? Just,
They can get in touch with the applicant and they can work with them.
Right.
I mean,
And you should forward that information to your peer reviewer when we send our final application.
So I guess we've already talked about this without taking a vote on it. So.
Yes.
well, let's take a vote just to make it. So, the vote is, I motion to vote whether we should consider the email from Ms. Lane that has been sent to the board in response to this application. All those in favor of discussing this further, say aye. All those opposed? Nay. So the nays have it. So now we're going to continue going to the preliminary subdivision approvals with conditions, okay? Now, I'd like each of the board members to read through the first paragraph. If anyone has any issues with wording or anything like that, please let me know and we'll start discussing it.
Well, the traffic issue is more one of safety and 8 homes. And I've said this even from the beginning, even when Mr. Laurie was here, that I was extremely uncomfortable with 8 homes. So noting that sight distance coming down the hill. So I don't even think it's appropriate for 8 houses because of the health factors involved. And if push comes to shove and we approve this preliminary approval, there is no way I would go with anything more than one driveway to service the entire.
Are you speaking to
I'm speaking
paragraph
of
1?
Route 160 right there.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
traffic
right.
and what's that whole thing, it all, they're not
Okay.
separate, they're not separate issues.
Right, okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify. Actually, you know, I'm gonna, has anybody, I sent this via email to everyone. Has anyone not had the chance to review it? Okay. Does anyone have any notes they would like to discuss about the preliminary subdivision approval? Conditions?
I have no notes.
Ready to go.
I mean, I don't see it written out here in real clear print that at our applicant's expense, we're gonna bring in soil scientists, hydrologists, and concerns about Great Brook and the Levitt Plantation. We need to have the Forest Society, so we have to bring in 3 professional people. We contract with them and the applicant pays for them.
Correct, yeah, it's in number 6.
Number 6. Number 6 is
It
all
says
there.
wildlife impact restoration of the 50-foot route.
So we got 3. We've got
Levitt Plantation, Great Brook.
soil, water, and Levitt Plantation. We have expertise that's gonna be hired for all that.
Well,
We don't have soil.
So we left it broad saying hire independent consultants, and then we didn't lock it into specific consultant services, but the ones that we've identified thus far are stormwater, wildlife impact, restoration, the buffer, impact and development of Lebanon Plantation and the Great Brook. And then it, excuse me, sir. And then it talks about the special account, which is the applicant's account being transferred to the consultants. Did you have something, Andy?
You know, I'm getting caught in the same trap that everybody else is thinking that once we sign this, that's it, but that's not it.
No.
They gotta come with a plan.
Right, so
And I
this is
think
for the
this
preliminary.
addresses what the plan is, you know, what they need to address in the plan. I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. So. I motion, oh, Rick, did you have anything?
I mean, no, I have concerns with the density issues, the 8 houses, yeah, but I mean, we'll address that.
Yeah.
I mean, Cliff made some good points. I think it's a little more dense than it should be. I mean, I don't know at this point what, we'll deal with that on the final plan. I mean, I guess that's, you know, I still have some reservations about voting for it, but I don't know, we do need to move the process forward. I don't know.
It's illegal.
Okay. So I motion to accept the preliminary subdivision plan for approval with the following conditions. And the conditions are listed on your sheet. We're going to go, I motion to vote for that preliminary subdivision approval with the conditions. Do I have a second for the vote?
Well, looking at the soils.
Now, all those in favor of accepting the preliminary subdivision plan approval with conditions, not the final plan, the preliminary plan approval with the following conditions, say aye. Aye. All those not in favor? Nay? Okay. So the majority has it. We have a preliminary subdivision approval with the following conditions. You have already been provided these conditions, correct? Yes. Okay. We're going to send you guys out a memo as well, just to tie the loop that this has been approved with the following conditions. Now, as far as the next steps for you guys' plan, do you have to submit the final plan?
Right, it's gonna take a bit to pull that together, plus we don't wanna get it in too soon because you would schedule a site walk and we can't do that obviously. The snow is gone, so, but just to pull all the data together from these conditions is gonna take at least a couple of months.
Okay, all right.
Maybe 3, we'll notify you.
And please, when you do reach out to us, we definitely are going to want to do the site walk.
Yes.
And if we can have the property marked as clearly as possible.
I know you want the driveways marked, you want corners of lots marked as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, if you could even go as far as putting flags at the end, like the corners of the billing envelope, that would be helpful as well. As much marking that you can give to the board and the members of the public.
And the wetlands as
correct.
well.
Soil study, it's complete.
Yes.
The site walk by no means is gonna meet anything other than us seeing things. We can't make any decisions until all these experts are contracted by us. So the site walk, after that, we're not gonna come and say, you know, it's a done deal.
Been at
You
this for
understand?
40 years.
Yeah, you know, you know, there's really no reason that I think to discuss it until all the science is done, after the site walk.
Shouldn't have approved it with an incomplete application.
All right, so
Can we
Soil
get a
science
copy
is
of
saying
that?
it wasn't complete.
excuse me.
It's called incomplete. So when a specialist says the soils aren't there,
Thank you.
and it's been 24 months, and you accepted an incomplete application.
Would you like to talk, Gerard?
Yes, I will.
Okay, wait 1 second, please. Thank you. All right.
May we get a copy of what was submitted by Ms. Lane?
Yes, absolutely.
It's independent soil.
All right, and so that's all we. Excuse me, sir.
I want to let him know it was submitted.
Well, you can let him know after the meeting, please.
He should have gotten it from Mr. Lord. That's what I want to let him know.
All right. So unless you guys have anything else for us tonight, that's all we have for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. You had a comment for the board?
Yes.
Please address it to the board.
This board forgets what the conditions they put on the applicant every meeting. They can't even remember what they did the meeting before. This is a circus, that's what Marion walked out. It's a circus. It's a circus. You guys, statutorily, this is a mess. I hired a soil scientist that reviewed this project and said it isn't worth the paper it's written on. They don't show where the wetlands are. They don't show where the vernal pools are. There haven't been a report written up. We're 24 months into this project and I hired a professional that said the maps aren't even right. And you guys just voted it in as it's complete. Thank you, because I'm gonna be suing you for up to the $10,000 I can get from each of you, because you're protected under the Tort Act. But I testified in Augusta yesterday about the corruption going on in this town. And you know what? This was mentioned. So you guys are the hit of the state. I just want to let you know. There's a bill, LD 1066, that is about what's going on in this room.
Well, we appreciate your comments, sir.
And this will be not only appealed, but each member that didn't follow the rule of law repeatedly, when we have video documentation, will be held legally accountable for this fraud. Because we just submitted an expert who said the maps aren't right. I cannot even look at this data because there is no data. And that's what they submitted to you. A fraudulent stormwater management plan, a fraudulent soil map that Rick caught, that Mr. Laurie caught. Mr. Laurie's backing off now because he's getting afraid because he doesn't want to go down with this mess because it's going to the State House and it's going to the courts. And this will clean this mess up in this town of the favoritism this applicant has been getting.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Well, thank you for letting me speak.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about on the agenda is the marijuana ordinance review.
I might as well stay for the fun. The precious, I might as well stay for the fun. I was doing that too.
So,
Sit next to each other. It's a warm place, warm spot.
for you guys that were not present for the workshop, I think that we made at least the beginning some process. If I can ask the members of the public to please be quiet during the meeting, and if you can, please hear your conversations on something else. Okay. We do have a workshop that will be held on March 28th to continue working with this. Now, the fundamentals that we got down were defining the separate entities or land uses for the medical marijuana. Some concerns that were raised during the last meeting, I think were pretty valid, were about fire response to any facilities and law enforcement response to any facilities. So I had Lindsay, our secretary, reach out to both South Hiram, Keyser Falls, Cornish Fire, ask for representatives from their fire departments to attend the workshop. We haven't gotten responses back, but at least the invitations are out. As well as Deputy Sear, our contract deputy. He's been notified and I expect him to attend to be able to speak to any of those concerns. And then we also asked or invited the following, the abutting town planning boards. That includes Cornish, Porter, Newfield, and Limerick. And I believe that we invited Hiram. I think they were on the list. South, well, yeah. To attend the workshop. Now, it's my understanding that all of these other towns have not been that receptive to ordinance. Cornish has medical ordinance. I think it was Limerick that they were having. I don't know because there's passed. Last time it was still in vote. They passed it. All right, good. So I think that it'll be good for us to have other input in there for this to continue to craft this. I don't have anything for us to go through tonight other than discussion on this, and I wanted to see as a board if there were some other subject matter experts that you guys felt would be beneficial to bring into the workshop.
Might be hard to get them out here at 7 p.m., the ones I'm thinking of specifically. I mean, maybe I could reach out and get a comment or two from some folks, but I don't know if I could get them deep in the heart of Parsonsville at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night.
Yeah. So, okay. I just wanted to put that out there. You know, I believe that, you know, as much participation as we can get, especially on something like this, is important. So I will ask, like, if you guys do think of people, feel free to ask for their participation in the workshops to attend. And that goes for the members of public as well. Everyone's absolutely included and their input is valued. Yes, Mr. Rock.
What's the best way to go about it? Should we just email something in to you guys with the person that we think would be a good speaker and kind of go from there, or actually present it here?
Just just email the planning board email address that this person will be coming to the meeting, and we'll carve out some time for them.
Do they have to have any sort of
Credentials?
credentials?
Has anyone had credentials in our workshops lately?
We haven't hit that point yet. There's not certificates to identify who's credentialed.
Too many
and stuff.
credentials in the room. No, I don't.
But I mean, I will say, to be fair to everyone that we have, run into like,
I
want my credentials.
I want to talk right now. Can I put myself there?
It's a crime.
Yeah, I will say that in order to give everyone an ample amount of time to be part of the workshop, we are going to keep comments limited. And if people are running on, or it seems like they're getting a little bit off topic, we're going to steer people back and then move on to the next person. That doesn't mean we're dismissive of anyone's participation. We just need to keep things going. And I do not like that. In the past, it has always become a debate as to whether like this should be legal or not. That's not the question here. It's the ordinance. That's what we're trying to craft. Okay.
I mean, would you guys prefer the idea of using a moderator and like?
For the public hearing, absolutely. But for the workshops, I think we're relaxed enough that we can.
This just sounds like it might get really big.
Yeah. I don't know.
Very opinionated board members.
We'll find out. If it doesn't get big enough, then then we'll pull it in. But
I think it's something you can do on the spot. Anyway. See, it doesn't have to call for it. They were like, all right, who wants to vote? Do it. If I remember at the moratorium, I'm thinking how they did it. They were just like, who wants to vote for a moderator, and then just pick a person.
I think they had him planned.
Yeah, you did have it planned, which I'm not going to get into that. That's not what I'm talking about. But you didn't have to pick that person. You could always just pick someone to educate themselves on Robinson's rules and just be ready in case you need them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for that chaos workshop.
I want to moderate. I want to tell people when to speak.
Yeah.
He's a good
moderator.
I think we'll know better if we need something like that once we start getting responses back in. Like right now, we don't know.
That information should be for us.
Correct.
It's a workshop for us.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's you giving us information, not having a public discussion.
Yeah. So to answer your question, for the workshop purposes, the planning board will be running the workshop discussions and keep those things in. Now, when it comes time for a public hearing, I am absolutely 100% behind getting a moderator that is a third party, and I don't have to do it. So I would love that. Now, so that'll be held on March 28th again. If you guys can think of anybody that you think would be relevant, please invite them and let us know so we can make sure that we carve out time. All right. Next order of business, set a workshop date to draft planning board standard operating procedures. And then the one after that is determine continuation of weekly shopper guide ads for workshops. Now, those could go hand in hand. Now, in the past, we have ran an ad in the weekly shopping guide saying that workshops for whatever will be held on like a certain day of the month. And then that has freed us up as a board to say, hey, listen, if we're going to do a workshop, let's just do it this month. And we've already got the ad in place. Now, my suggestion is that because we meet the third Tuesday of every month, we could set a recurring workshop date for the following Tuesday of every month. And that way, we have lead over from an application, or we have an issue that we would like to discuss, like marijuana, or standard operating procedures, or bylaws, whatever they may be, we will just continually do that next month. Now, if that date doesn't work for everybody, then it won't work for you probably every month, or it will work for you every month. I don't know. I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts on that.
So you're saying 2 weeks in a row on Tuesday, the third and then the following one.
Or I think the way it used to be, it was the first Tuesday of the month. I mean, we could just pick the day, you know, whatever would seem to work best.
Yeah, even a rolling date, I think, is wise for that purpose, just so there's no reinvention of the wheel every time. Yeah,
Right.
It seems like there's a lot of stuff.
First Tuesdays, I'm fine with that too. That's like the middle day between meetings.
That might work, because is there ever a case where there's not a fourth Tuesday in the month? I mean, it could happen. I don't know, maybe not. No, there's always 4 Tuesdays.
I don't know.
First Tuesday of the month.
Are you guys comfortable with first Tuesday? Now, that doesn't mean we will necessarily have a workshop or a meeting, but it provides us.
So we're gonna notice that as standards, so
Yeah.
that means we won't be caught in the trap of having to do the 2 weeks thing, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Just for workshops.
Correct. So the first Tuesday for our regular planning board meeting of each month.
The third Tuesday is regular planning board meeting,
And then
the first Tuesday is a rolling workshop notification.
Third and first.
So, I will put it to a vote, all those, I'll put it to a vote. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor of having a workshop notification for the first Tuesday of every month, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Unanimous. And then the next thing is the standard operating procedures or bylaws. Now, because we're doing the marijuana workshop next week, and do we have enough time for a workshop for the 1st of April? I think it's a bit too much to condense in.
We would not have enough time.
Yeah.
Because the second would be basically our second time in place, so.
So because the majority of the board is going to training tomorrow for the planning board overview, I think that it would be prudent for us to discuss drafting bylaws and standard operating procedures. They kind of go hand in hand. On the first available workshop, which would be the first Tuesday in May.
Don't those exist?
What's that?
The bylaws, it must exist.
That's what I've heard, but
Can't find it.
no. So we have an ordinance that was crafted in 1990 establishing the planning board and saying that we should establish
Didn't somebody
bylaws.
show us the bylaws? Where are they?
I don't know.
Marion
where they
said
are.
she-
They might be on the site
She knows where
somewhere.
they are.
Yeah?
You know where they are?
Cool. So even if they exist,
Marion Wright knows they exist, she's read them, there are copies of them. David needs to produce them, this malfeasance needs to stop, that's why we were in Augusta yesterday.
It may be.
That's why we're in Augusta, because you know what the topic was in Augusta? Municipal officials shredding information and stealing from towns and malfeasance. And one of the senators, went to Google and there was 16 cases. This is an accusation.
all right, okay.
16
Okay,
cases of
good.
malfeasance.
That's so.
Last year and a half.
To answer your question, Andy,
In the state of Maine.
I don't know of
It's
any.
not
They might exist.
hearsay.
By April or by the second
the
Tuesday in
course.
April, we'll find out for sure. But regardless, even if they do
Uh-huh.
exist, we're redoing them. We're redoing them and we're enhancing them and we're making sure that each board member is in concurrence with the bylaws and the standard operating procedures because it needs to be done.
It's shredded.
Okay. So that concludes that portion of business.
I got one other thing I want
Yes.
to address. All right, so the discrepancy in the new book. I went through it. I figured each page. There are 30 pages inserted that are not referenced in the index at all. We need new books. This is not going to work for us.
Mine is all out of order.
That's the way they are. Not only that, they're out of order. I fixed the order, but again, there's 30 pages in the center that were inserted that there's no reference. It's way too difficult. Yeah, let me get through this, please. It's way too difficult to try and get through without being able to index a lot of this stuff.
Right.
We have to have these things reprinted. I mean, I could see it could end up being a total nightmare.
I'll have it reprinted.
Okay, hey, can I have you please be quiet so we can conduct our business?
Those are the reprinted ones from the website.
Right, but there's a problem. There were 30 additional pages inserted into the new books, and they weren't indexed, so it threw off the correlation on each page. Not only did it do that, but it also, we've got 30 pages in the center in Shoreland that have no reference in the index, so there's no way to look them up. There's a lot of detailed information in there. There's no way we could get through that under pressure.
Okay, so, two things, public service announcement, I know, put this out at the workshop, I'm not sure everyone was here. Lindsay is taking on the new assistant clerk position for the town.
So would you want me, I can explain to you better exactly what the reg.
Yeah, can you please get with her?
Yeah.
once-
And is that one that I printed off, or is
These-
that one you had for a while?
No, this is the 2018 version, adopted September 8, 2018. This is the new one.
I'm just asking, about 2 weeks ago, I printed off new ones.
And so I still don't think the 30 pages that were inserted when the town voted last year were actually referenced in the end. We'll finish the meeting now.
All right,
The
so,
table content's even on the website.
Yeah,
So-
so there are actually 30 pages.
if you can get with David, once you get settled in to that position, find out where the soft copy of that document is, and Rick will get with you about what changes need to be updated, that way we're on track. And once you finish that in the capacity of the deputy clerk, if you could print us out new regulations after that, and I understand that this will take some time.
Yeah.
Okay, do any other board members have any other business, questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Ryan, before we close this meeting out.
One thing, since you brought up meetings and scheduling, something I brought up to the select board and something that affected our application, so I want to bring it up, is the idea of having a hard rescheduled date. We live in Maine, so when a Tuesday gets canceled, like in November, which is super ridiculous, and it pushes somebody past a deadline or adversely affect their business plans, it would be nice for us to have a hard rescheduled date for work into the advertisement, you know, bar conditions, be rescheduled for following Tuesday.
That's a very good point. Yeah. So, yeah, Lindsay, when you write that ad up, please put it as a workshop / alternate monthly meeting date for the ad. And we'll keep this ad. Now, in addition to that, before everybody heads out, one of the things that Lindsay and I were discussing is, aside from, and this affected you guys too, aside from the weekly shopper's guide ads, because we haven't always gotten responses back that they're processing our ads, we're going to start either mailing or emailing copies of the meetings that are going to happen, the agendas, to the post office, which will meet the public service notification requirement.
Okay. Post the Parsons Field site.
Right.
But it's not a circulating, like, yes, people can join it, but you can't,
But
it doesn't get delivered to the whole town.
People.
Sure, yeah, we still,
I know the guy that started it.
Plus, someone could privately be banned from that site.
No, it's
which
not
would
banned.
take away the, well, no, I mean, like, yeah, not even from you, you know what I mean? Like, Facebook could,
Not yet.
kick somebody
Yeah.
off.
You got time.
And then they have to resignate.
All right, so unless anyone has anything else on the board,
Second.
I move to.
We're talking over
Yes.
this. I think what you're saying. Sorry.
Did anyone have anything else left? No? Okay. I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:45. Yeah. It's a full moon.
Holy moly! What happened to Marion's pie?
Should be.
To the mail, that's what he was.
Yeah.